بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين ثم أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, we continue going over the tremendous book Aqeedatut Tawheed by the Allama Sheikh Salih Al-Fawzan Hafidhahullah Ta'ala. We reached the chapter or the section where the Sheikh Hafidhahullah Ta'ala is speaking about the affair of At-Tawassul, the affair of At-Tawassul, and it has been entitled At-Tawassul bil-Makhluq ila Allah Ta'ala, making a tawassul with that which is created so as to draw near unto Allah the Most High, for lack of a better translation. What tawassul? What is a tawassul? A tawassul huwa a taqarrub ila shay wa tawassul ilay. It is to draw near unto something and to seek a means of approach to it. This is what is meant by a tawassul. Al-wasila, it is a means of approach. Al-qurba, so as to draw near. قال الله تعالى, Allah Ta'ala, He says, وَابْتَغُوا إِلَيْهِ الْوَسِيلَةِ, and seek a means of approach unto Him, meaning seek a means of approach unto Allah Azza wa Jal. Al-qurba, to draw near, al-qurba ilayhi, to draw near to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the way to draw near unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is bita'ati, by being obedient unto Allah azza wa jal. This is how we draw near unto Allah azza wa jal. Wattiba' marudati, and by following that which Allah ta'ala is pleased with. And this is something that is very important in the life of a Muslim, is that we have to know what are the means by way in which an individual will draw near unto Allah Azza wa Jal. We have to know what are the means by way in which an individual can draw near unto Allah Azza wa Jal. Because anybody who has an ounce of intelligence, that he will want to draw near unto his Lord Azza wa Jal. He will want to draw near unto his Lord, the Most High. And the way in which that will be accomplished is by being obedient unto Allah Azza wa Jal, and by following that in which Allah Azza wa Jal He loves, not by coming with innovative affairs, or by following our vain desires, or by doing that which we want to do and without any regard, but rather it is by doing that which is pleasing unto Allah Azza wa Jal. And you find that this characteristic is a matter of distinction between the Muslims and between the non-Muslims. Because the Muslims, those who believe in Allah Azza wa Jal, they strive to do that which Allah Azza wa Jal is pleased with. They strive to obey Allah Azza wa Jal. Naam. So when they look at things, their perspective is this something that is in agreement and coincides with the obedience of Allah Azza wa Jal? So you find they strive to do it. So the Muslim, he prays 5 times a day, fasts the month of Ramadan, gives zakah, make hajj, believes properly in Allah Azza wa Jal, so on and so forth. Why? Because they are seeking to be obedient unto Allah Azza wa Jal. They're seeking to do that which Allah is pleased with. Therefore, an individual, he will stay away from, as much as he can, the haram, because Allah Ta'ala is pleased with such, that we stay away from the haram. And when an individual falls into the haram, then they'll make tawbah. They'll repent to Allah Azza wa Jal, because Allah Azza wa Jal is pleased with such, that we are repentive and that we oft repent unto Him. As contrary, the kuffar, their perspective on life is to do that which they want to do. To do that which they desire. To follow their desires. To look for satisfaction by whichever means they can find satisfaction. This is the way of the kuffar. To do what they want to do. Be who they want to be. Don't let no one tell you who to be. You be who you want to be. Be who you are. Be yourself. Yeah, and they have sayings like this so as to beautify their falsehood. Be yourself. Don't let no one tell you who you should be. Be yourself. Yeah, Salaam. What do you mean? Of course. We should be looking to be told who we should be. By who? By our Creator. We should be striving to do what is pleasing to our Creator. And the individual who's upon guidance, then he will find pleasure in that which is halal. He will find pleasure in obedience of Allah Azza wa Jal. But when one is wicked, he has corruption, he has disease inside of his heart, he has within him despicableness and vileness and so on and so forth, you will find he will have an aversion to that which is halal. He will have an aversion to that which is pleasing unto Allah Azza wa Jal. So we have to look at things and really examine and ask ourselves, do we find pleasure in that which is hated by Allah? And do we find an aversion to that which is beloved to Allah? Because if this is the case, then we are in serious trouble. We are tremendously sick. Tremendously sick. An individual in such a state, this is worse than having AIDS, cancer, to the end of it, cancer in all its forms. Because the individual who has AIDS, cancer, whatever terminal disease, that only causes and leads to, in its conclusion, a death of the body. Right? That only leads to, in its conclusion, the death of the body. Which is, if you look at it in retrospect, it's not really that bad. Why? Because we're all going to die anyway. Right? I mean, this life ends in what? Death. So we're all going to die anyway. Right? So a person dying from this way or that way and so on and so forth, it's going to lead to your death. What? It's going to die anyway. It wasn't going to stay here. Right? So that's okay, neither here nor there. We're going to die anyway. Whether it's by dying in the sleep, whether it's by getting hit by a car, whether it's by getting hit by a stray bullet, whether it's by whatever the case may be, we're going to die anyway. But okay. But an individual who finds that he has a disdain for that which is beloved unto Allah Azza wa Jal, then this is a sign of what? Of a death of one's heart, a death of one's soul, a disconnection from his Lord Azza wa Jal. This is something that's worse than death. As Imam Ibn Qayyim, he mentions about the wasting of time, he said that the wasting of time is worse than death. He said because death, it severs you from the dunya. Death, it severs you from the dunya, cuts you off from the life of this world. He said, but the wasting of time, what does it do? It disconnects you from your Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala. It disconnects you from Allah Azza wa Jal. So it's worse. It's worse than death. Because death severs you from the dunya, okay? Being severed from the dunya, I mean, what's the harm in that? Severed from the dunya, okay, no problem. But an individual being severed from Allah Azza wa Jal, this is the worst of all calamities. There's no rebounding. Naam. Except with what? Except with tawbah, of course. Except with tawbah. Ala kulli hal. So the issue of tawassul, drawing near unto Allah Azza wa Jal, this should be something that is on everyone's mind. How do we draw near unto Allah Azza wa Jal? The tawassul, naam. To draw near unto Allah Azza wa Jal. To draw near unto Allah Azza wa Jal. This is how it is translated. على كل حال الشيخ فوزان رحمه الله تعالى, he says التوسل قسمان. التوسل is of two types. How we draw near unto Allah Azza wa Jal is of two types. التوسل مشروع, the tawassul that is legislated, And then you have the tawassul غير مشروع, the tawassul that is not legislated. Now those are the two types. As far as the tawassul that is mashru', that is legislated, huwa anwa', this will be of various types. As far as the tawassul that is legislated, then this is of various types. Now, the Shaykh he mentions now al-awwal, the first type of drawing near unto Allah Azza wa Jal. Person wants to know, okay, well, how do we draw near unto Allah Azza wa Jal? Well, firstly, at-tawassul ila Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bi asma'ihi wa sifatih, is to draw near unto Allah Azza wa Jal by His names and His attributes, using the names and the attributes of Allah Azza wa Jal to draw near unto Him. The only way that a person can draw near to Allah by way of His names and His attributes is by what? He has to know the names and attributes of Allah Azza wa Jal. He has to know Allah's names and attributes. And this shows us the importance of studying this bab from Aqeedah. The importance of studying this subject from Aqeedah, of knowing the names and the attributes of Allah Azza wa Jal. Knowing Allah's names and what they mean. Na'am, having good understanding of the attributes of Allah Azza wa Jal is very important. It's very important. Not just from a scholastic standpoint that we have to know this, but what? So that we can turn this knowledge into application by calling upon Allah Azza wa Jal and drawing near unto Allah Azza wa Jal and seeking to draw near unto Allah Azza wa Jal by calling Him by His names and His attributes, or by way of His names and His attributes. كما أمر الله تعالى بذلك في قوله, just as Allah Ta'ala He commands us to do that inside of His statement, وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى فَادْعُوا بِهَا, and for Allah, they belong to Allah the best of names, so therefore call upon Him by way of them. So therefore call upon Him by way of them, by way of the what? The names and the attributes of Allah Azza wa Jal. وَذَرُوا الَّذِينَ يُلْحِدُونَ فِي أَسْمَائِهِ, and abandon those who make apostasy and heresy as relates to His names. Abandon those who commit apostasy and heresy as relates to His names. سَيُجْزَوْنَ مَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ, because they will be held accountable for what they used to do, or they shall be rewarded, meaning they should be punished for what they used to do. وذكر الإمام ابن الجوزي رحمه الله تعالى في تفسيره روي عن ابن عباس رضي الله تعالى عنهما أن الإلحادهم في أسمائه, that what is their heresy, or the heresy of the kuffar as relates to the names of Allah Azza wa Jal, أنهم سموا بها أوثانهم, is that they name their idols with derivatives of the names and attributes of Allah Azza wa Jal. And then he brings an example of this. Now, because this falls into what? Having heresy in the names of Allah Azza wa Jal. This falls into having heresy in the names of Allah Azza wa Jal. Is that they took the names of Allah and they made derivatives, female derivatives of the names of Allah, and then they gave it to their idols. For example, Al-Lat min Allah. Remember they had an idol that was called Al-Lat. They extracted this name Al-Lat from Lafdul Jalala Allah. Na'am wa iyadu billah. Wal-Uzza, in Uzza, they had another idol, that name was Uzza. Na'am. Al-Uzza min Al-Aziz. Al-Uzza was extracted from Al-Aziz. So they're playing around with the names of Allah Azza wa Jal, making derivatives of them, and then they name to their idols. Wa'iyadu billah. Na'am, then they give these names to their idols. This is those who make ilhad, heresy, as relates to the names and the attributes of Allah Azza wa Jal. This ayah, وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى, and for Allah are the most beautiful names. It can be found in Surah Al-A'raf, verse 180. So this is the first type. At-tawassul, to draw near unto Allah Azza wa Jal by way of His names and His attributes. وَالنَّوْعُ الثَّانِي, the second type, at-tawassul ila Allah توصل الله تعالى بالإيمان والأعمال الصالحة التي قام بها المتوسل. This is to draw near unto Allah Azza wa Jal by way of faith, true faith, and righteous good deeds. Righteous good deeds that the one who is seeking to draw near to Allah has came with and established. It's to draw near unto Allah Azza wa Jal by faith in righteous good deeds. That the one who is drawing near unto, from the one who is drawing near unto Allah Azza wa Jal. كما قال تعالى, as Allah Ta'ala He says, عن أهل الإيمان, as Allah Ta'ala He says about the people of belief. ربنا إنا سمعنا مناديا ينادي للإيمان أن آمنوا بربكم فآمنا. They say, "Oh our Lord, we heard a caller proclaiming or calling to faith and to believe in your Lord, and thus we have believed." And thus we have believed. Now, so again, "O our Lord, verily we have heard a caller proclaiming or calling to Iman, to believe in your Lord, and thus we have believed." Right? So they are mentioning their Iman, they have believed. So in light of that, what comes next? رَبَّنَا فَاغْفِرْ لَنَا. O our Lord, forgive us. فَاغْفِرْ لَنَا ذُنُوبَنَا. Forgive us for our sins. وَكَفِّرْ عَنَّا سَيِّئَاتِنَا. And expiate for us our shortcomings. وَتَوَفَّنَا مَعَ الْأَبْرَارِ. And make us die as being amongst the righteous. Make us die as being amongst the righteous. Naam. So they mention this in the context of what? They're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive them, to forgive them for their sins, expiate for them their shortcomings, and to make them die amongst the righteous. To make them die amongst the righteous, to make them die as they are those who believe correctly in Allah Azza wa Jal. But what was that in which they utilized so as to draw near unto Allah Azza wa Jal was by mentioning what? فَآمَنَّا. We have believed. We have believed. And because we are believers, then, "Oh our Lord, please forgive us our sins, expiate from us our shortcomings, and make us die amongst the righteous." Now, another example of this, كما في الحديث ثلاثة الذين انطبقت عليهم الصخرة فسدت عليهم باب الغار. Like the hadith of those who they were trapped in a cave because the rock came down. The rock came down and trapped them inside the cave. It blocked the entrance to the cave, so they weren't able to exit. Now, remember they each were begging Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to save them from this perilous situation. But do you remember each of them mentioned what? A righteous good deed that they have done? So they called upon Allah Azza wa Jal while stating a righteous good deed that they have done solely for Him Azza wa Jal to save them from this very dangerous and potentially deadly situation. The Shaykh says, فَلَمْ يَسْتَطِيعُوا الْخُرُوجِ. It was blocked, they couldn't get out. فَتَوَصَّلُوا إِلَى اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ بِصَالِحِ الْأَعْمَالِهِمْ. So they sought to draw near unto Allah Azza wa Jal by the righteous good deeds that they had done. فَفَرَجَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُمْ فَخَرَجُوا يَمْشُونَ. They drew near unto Allah Azza wa Jal by the righteous good deeds that they had done previously in the past, and Allah Azza wa Jal He moved the rock, and they exited and they walked away. They exited and they walked away. Now remember the hadith, every time one he mentioned the rock move a little bit, then the second one he mentioned the rock move a little bit, the third one he mentioned he made his dua to Allah Ta'ala, and then the rock moved all the way out the way and they were able to get out. So this is something for us to reflect upon, when seeking to draw near unto Allah Azza wa Jal by doing the likes of this. Thirdly, النوع الثالث التوصل إلى الله سبحانه وتعالى بالتوحيد, is to draw near unto Allah Azza wa Jal by the monotheism. Now, to draw near unto Allah by way of Tawheed, monotheism. Now, and it's going to be clear what this means, because all of these anwa' of tawassul, all of these ways of drawing near unto Allah Ta'ala are all from the ways of monotheism. None of them involve anything from polytheism whatsoever. But what is meant will become very, very clear in the example. Kama tawassul Yunus, just like Yunus. When Yunus, we all know Yunus, right? Like Yunus alayhi salatu wassalam, this great prophet alayhi salatu wassalam, he made dua unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As Allah Ta'ala, he informs us, فَنَادَ فِي الظُّلُمَاتِ أَنْ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنْتَ سُبْحَانَكَ. He said, and he called out in the darknesses. Remember the darkness, because Yunus, or in English, Jonah, he was swallowed by the whale. He was swallowed by the whale. So he's in a very dangerous situation. He's swallowed by the whale, in the belly of the whale. He has no way to get out, right? But it's very important, because we all may go through times in our life where we have very difficult situations that we may go through, right? And when one reflects on the stories of the prophets and the messengers, we realize that what we go through in our lives is nothing in comparison to what they have gone through in their lives. Like whatever rough time that we had, better than us had worse. And that's clear, right? But in any event, look at this situation. Even if an individual was like this, swallowed by a whale, in the middle of whatever ocean, right? No boat around that you know of, and so on and so forth. Allahu a'lam what depth you are at the side of the whale, and stomach of this whale. This is a very serious situation. But look at what the dua. Look at the dua. Look at the supplication that Yunus alayhi salam he made. Because of course he realizes the scope of his situation. He realizes how dangerous his situation is, and he realizes how grievous the situation that he is in, the perilous situation he's in. And remember, he was what? He was a prophet. Now, he received revelation from Allah Azza wa Jal. So he knew the scope of his situation, and he knew what was most beneficial for him to supplicate with in the likes of that situation. So I want us to remember that. He knew the scope of his situation, and he knew what was most beneficial to call upon Allah with in that situation. Because in that situation, there's a lot of supplications he could have made to Allah. There's a lot of things he could have said to Allah Azza wa Jalla. A lot of things he could have asked Allah for, right? But I want you to pay attention to what he said. He said, "La ilaha illa ant, subhanak, inni kuntum min al-zalimin." He said, nothing has the right to be worshipped in truth except for you, O Allah. Glory be unto you, and how far above you are from any deficiencies, shortcomings, and so on and so forth. Far removed from anything of shortcomings, deficiencies, so on and so forth. Verily, I was from the wrongdoers. Verily, I was from the wrongdoers. He acknowledged his sin. Right? And we're going to come back to this point, inshallah ta'ala. But one thing that jumps out at you is that what? We don't hear him asking to be saved from the belly of the whale. Right? Did you hear that? Oh Allah, save me from the belly of the whale, get me out the whale. We don't hear that. And this is from the fiqh of dua. This is from the deep understanding of supplicating unto Allah Azza wa Jal. Because dua is of two types. You have the dua ibadah, the supplication of ibadah, the supplication of worship, or for lack of a better term or translation. What this means is that the likes of this supplication, where you're praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like saying Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, La ilaha illallah. All of this is called dua ibadah. Saying Subhanallah, glory be unto Allah. This is a supplication. But this is a supplication of what? Ibadah. Now, by saying Alhamdulillah, all praise and thanks belong to Allah. This is supplication, but it's a supplication of worship. By saying La ilaha illallah, nothing has the right to be worshipped in truth except Allah. This is a supplication, but it's a supplication of worship. And then you have the dua mas'ala. Then you have the dua, the supplication where you're asking Allah for something. Like we say, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Oh, our Lord, give us the good of this world and the good of the next world, and save us from the hellfire. See, in this dua, we make three requests. Oh Allah, give us the good of this world, the good of the next world, and then save us from the hellfire. This is called dua mas'ala, the dua of asking a question. Naam. And both types of dua are beautiful and only belong unto Allah Azza wa Jal. Meaning, we only supplicate unto Allah Azza wa Jal. We don't pray to no angel. We don't pray to any prophet. We don't pray to any rock, any stone, any statue, any picture, any person. No, we only make our supplication to Allah Azza wa Jal. So both of these types belong only to Allah Azza wa Jal. We only beseech Allah Azza wa Jal and ask and beg Allah Azza wa Jal. That's it. We only beg Allah. We only beg the Creator of the heavens and the earth. Naam. But from the fiqh of dua, and I want you to remember this when you get in a perilous situation, because sometimes when you're in a situation that's difficult and rough, it could be overwhelming. Right? You ever have that? You go through something that's it's such a tragedy, such a calamity, it's such a situation that catches you off guard so much that you become overwhelmed. You don't know what to say. You become confused. You don't. Sometimes a person, you don't know whether you want to sit down, stand up. He's in a state of confusion. Something so striking that it puts him in a state of confusion. So one of the things to remember in a situation like that, it may be possible that you won't even know what to say. Even if you were told ask for something, the situation is so overwhelming you don't even know what to ask for. Right? Remember this occasion. Remember this supplication. Because from the benefits of the dua, al-ibadah, the dua of worship, the likes of this dua, when you're just praising Allah Ta'ala, so on and so forth, is that when you make the likes of the supplication, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala will answer you by giving you what you need without you having to ask for it. Because Allah is all-knowing. Allah knows what you need in that situation. Allah knows what is best for you. Allah knows what will be the finest thing to happen for you in light of this situation. Allah knows this. So when an individual puts his trust and reliance, and he puts tawakkul, he makes tawakkul upon Allah Ta'ala, puts his trust and reliance upon Allah Azza wa Jal, by making supplication, worshipping Allah Azza wa Jal, in this case specifically worshipping Allah Ta'ala first and foremost by way of the Tawheed. By way of the Tawheed, because the dua, it starts off by saying what? La ilaha illa ant. He starts the dua by saying nothing has the right to be worshipped in the truth except for you. That's how he starts the dua. That's how he starts the supplication. Naam. Ala kulli hal, if an individual makes the likes of this dua al-ibadah, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala will give you what you need without you even asking for it. And this is one of the benefits in making the dua al-ibadah, to constantly keep upon your tongue Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, to constantly praise Allah Azza wa Jal. Constantly praise Allah Azza wa Jal. Naam. This is one of the benefits. The Prophet ﷺ, he said in a hadith, and I want us to pay attention, and if we don't know this dua, then we need to make it a point to learn this dua. Really, you need this. You need this dua in your life. Everybody needs this dua. Everyone needs this supplication inside their life. And Sa'd, on the authority of Sa'd radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, قال, he said, قال Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, دعوة ذي النون إذا دعا وهو في بطن الحوت. He said the da'wah, the supplication of Dhunnun. Dhunnun was another name for Yunus. He was also called Dhun-Nun. Now, so Yunus, alayhi salam, his name was what? Was Yunus, right? Yunus, and another name was Dhun-Nun. So Dhun-Nun, Yunus. He said that the supplication of the Nun, or Dhun-Nun, meaning Yunus, when he supplicated while he was inside of the stomach of the whale. When he supplicated, when he was inside of the stomach of the whale. La ilaha illa ant, subhanak, inni kuntum min al-zalimin. Nothing has the right to worship the truth except for you. All glory be unto you. Verily I was from the wrongdoers. Verily I was from the wrongdoers. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, فَإِنَّهُ لَمْ يَدْعُ بِهَا رَجُلٌ مُسْلِمٌ فِي الشَّيْءِ قَطَّ إِلَّا اسْتَجَابَ اللَّهُ لَهُ. He said that never has a Muslim man ever, and it's very important. He said never has a Muslim man, because as we know what Muslim, al-Islam, it means what? Al-istislam lillah bit-Tawheed wal-qiyad lahu bit-ta'ah wal-khulus wal-bara'a min al-shirk wal-mushrikeen. What is the general meaning of Islam? Is what? Is to submit oneself unto Allah Azza wa Jal. To submit oneself unto Allah Azza wa Jal. So a Muslim, he should be one who he submits himself unto Allah. He submits himself unto Allah, the creator of the heavens and the earth. He tells us how we're supposed to live our lives. So the Muslim tries his best to live like that. And then when he comes up short, he does what? He makes repentance, because Allah Ta'ala has legislated upon us to repent when we make sins and come up short. So to submit ourselves unto Allah with monotheism, by worshiping Allah and Allah alone. So all of our life, our sacrifice, our death, so on and so forth, is only for Allah. All of our prayers are only for Allah. Our fasting, we do it only for Allah. When we give charity to someone and treat people right, we do that for what? For the sake of Allah. We do that for the sake of Allah. So to submit oneself to Allah by way of monotheism, to be compliant to the commands of Allah, so we're compliant to Allah's commands. Allah Ta'ala tells us to do such, we try to do such, or we do such. Now, we do such to the best of our ability. Allah Ta'ala tells us to stay away from something, we stay away from it. And to disassociate ourselves from all forms and types of polytheism and all forms and types of polytheists. This is from what? This is from what it means to be a Muslim. That an individual, he disconnects his heart from the polytheist. Why? Because of what the polytheist does from shirk. Because the polytheist, he brings polytheism. So because the bringing of polytheism is an act in which an individual does not give the Creator his right, an individual, of course, you will have to have disdain for that. You're not giving the Creator his right. You understand? If we saw a person abusing a dog, right? We will have a disdain for him, or we should have a disdain for him. You know, why you gonna harm an animal for? Why are you torturing an animal? You put gasoline on the animal, you set him on fire. You have a disdain for that person. What a despicable person! What are you doing? Right? Right or wrong? We saw a person abusing a human being, kicking him, beating him, abusing him verbally, physically. We'll have a disdain. What are you doing, hurting that person? For what? He ain't doing that to you. Why are you hurting him for? You have a disdain. Why? Because he's infringing upon the rights of that human being. So naturally we have a disdain. How you do such a thing? No, I don't like you. I don't be a friend. Get away from me. You like this? You're a person like this? You understand? But how much more so an individual is not giving our Creator his rights, because the Creator is more important to us than a human being or a dog. The rights of the Creator are more important than the rights of the creation. So if a person is not giving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Creator of the heavens and the earth, his rights, Allah ta'ala, who has given the creation everything that it has. Allah ta'ala created us. Allah Ta'ala gave us the faculties of hearing, seeing, intellect, so on and so forth. Allah Ta'ala made the planet for us, suitable for us, just far away enough from the sun so we don't burn up, but not too far so we don't freeze. It's given us an atmosphere so we're not pelted by everything flying by. Look at the moon. The moon don't got an atmosphere. You see how many craters it has on it? Imagine if every day you got to watch out for meteors. Could it be human beings? No. Right? Could we be living around and drinking our lattes and that? No. Playing on the iPhone and that? No. You understand? Allah Ta'ala, He made us the way that He made us. Look at how Allah Ta'ala, He made our eyes so that it adjusts to light so we can see things, our ears so that we can hear, and our voices so we can talk in a voice box and learn, so on and so forth. Look at our digestive system, how we eat food and then it gets broken down and then it gives us energy and so on and so forth. The waste comes out. This is a ni'mah. Imagine the waste didn't come out. Imagine, yeah? None of us would be here. We've been long dead. These are bounties. Allah Ta'ala has given us everything. Everything. So to show that level of disrespect, that level of ungratefulness, now to take what Allah has given us and then use it to worship other than Allah, that is the ultimate ingratitude. There is no ungratefulness that is worse than that. To take this body that Allah has given us, to take these things that Allah has created, and then to use that to worship other than Allah, this is the worst crime. This is the worst disrespect. This is the worst sign of ingratitude unto Allah Azza wa Jalla. وأن المساجد لله فلا تدعوا مع الله أحدا. Verily the masajid belong unto Allah, so don't call upon anything with Allah Azza wa Jalla. Naam. So don't call upon anything with Allah Azza wa Jalla. Ala kulli hal. Everything belongs unto Allah Azza wa Jalla. So it is a must that we worship Him and Him alone, and we utilize our bodies into worshiping Allah Azza wa Jalla. So therefore, this dua, the greatest thing it could begin with is Tawheed, the monotheism of Allah Azza wa Jalla. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, never has an individual who was a Muslim, na'am, ever. So when we understand the meaning of Islam, na'am, to be compliant or to submit ourselves unto Allah with Tawheed, monotheism, to be compliant to the commands of Allah, and to dissociate ourselves from polytheism and the polytheist. Now, because we understand the nature of polytheism, then of course an individual, he will have a disdain for the polytheist. They infringe upon the greatest right. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, never has a man who was a Muslim made this dua. So this is an indication of what? That Yunus, alayhi salatu wasalam, he was what? He was a Muslim. Because all of the prophets and messengers were Muslim, because they submitted themselves unto Allah Azza wa Jalla. They submitted themselves unto Allah Azza wa Jalla. They were monotheists. They were not from the polytheists. They obeyed Allah Azza wa Jalla. And they disassociated themselves from polytheism, shirk, and from the mushrikun, from the polytheist. Now, important side point, what it means when we say disassociation from the kuffar, from the disbelievers and from the polytheists, it means that we don't bring them into our hearts and have a religious love for them. Why? We can't, because they commit polytheism. So how can we love them from a religious aspect when they are upon a religion that infringes upon the greatest right? You understand? This does not mean, nor does it translate into a justification of abusing them. So we can't say, oh no, this guy's a mushrik, this guy's he's not a Muslim, so I don't have to give him no rights. I can just infringe upon him any which way, shape, and form. No. It's not correct. It's not a correct understanding. And what's the biggest proof and evidence against that is that what? Is that the Prophet ﷺ, nobody in their right mind will say the Prophet ﷺ did not have bara'ah for the mushrikeen. Nobody will say that the Prophet ﷺ did not have a dissociation from the polytheists. We all know he had a dissociation from the polytheists. But at the same time, the Prophet ﷺ, he was what? He was kind. He was kind to the disbelievers. If they wanted to come and sit in his majlis and his sitting, he would let them come and sit. When they invited him, he would answer their invitations. When they gave him food, he would eat the food. He wouldn't say, get out of here, you would najis. He wouldn't say that. He would eat the food. Meaning from what? In this case, we have to be specific. When we say the polytheists here, we mean what? The Jews and the Christians. Because the Jews and the Christians, they make shirk. What should you call it? But we mean يعني أهل الكتاب. mean أهل الكتاب. Right? As far as the lahum, the meat of, yani, for example, like the Buddhists and the Hindus and so on and so forth, then it's not permissible for us to eat what they slaughter. But if it is slaughtered by a Muslim, a Jew, or a Christian, then we can eat it. Because Allah Ta'ala has allowed us such. Now, this is what we mean by that, just to be upon clarity. In any event, we find that the Prophet ﷺ, he interacted with them in a good manner. Even when he had the upper hand. When the Muslims took over Mecca, now, the polytheists, they thought, what, it's it? It's done. Now there's going to be reprisals. Right? All this stuff we did, we tortured the Muslims, we killed the Muslims. They killed Sumayya, radiyallahu ta'ala anha, in the most violent manners. Yes, sir? They tried to kill the Prophet ﷺ. They tried to eradicate the Muslims. So many things. So they knew, okay, that's it. It's over. It's over. But what did the Prophet ﷺ, what did he do? He told them, everybody's free today. That's it. It's fine. No reprisals. Everybody's free. Now, so this is an indication of what? That it's just, we don't have free range, or having a dissociation from them doesn't give us free range to infringe upon their rights. No. Treat them in a good manner, and act with them in a good manner, show unto them kindness, generosity, and so on and so forth. Naam. But what it means is that what? We just don't take it into our hearts like that. Why? Because it's for Allah. Because we have to have a love for those who worship Allah and Allah alone. You understand? That makes sense? It makes sense? It's very, very important. Very important. Because the likes of the Kilab al-Nar, ISIS, and so on and so forth, they utilize this thing of having a disassociation as a justification for what they do. Oh, but they're kuffar, but there's a dissociation for them. Okay? That don't mean you kill innocent people. That don't mean you blow up the bus, bring down an airplane, run inside of a mall and kill people shopping. That has nothing to do with having brought out from the kuffar. That's being treacherous. That's being murderous. That's being barbaric. That's from barbarism. Those are the actions of the dogs of the hellfire. The Prophet ﷺ, called them the dogs of the hellfire. You understand? The dogs of the hellfire. This is the Khawarij. This is the likes of ISIS and Qaeda. They're the dogs of the hellfire. So is anybody confused about why they act like that? They're evil. They're most evil of the people. Sharrul Qats. Sharrul Khalq wal Khaliqa, as the Prophet ﷺ said, they are the worst of creatures and the worst of creation. The likes of these individuals. Ala kulli hal, back to this dua, back to this hadith, is that what the Prophet ﷺ, he said, never has a Muslim man made this dua ever except that Allah answered him. You see why I said we all need this dua? Never has someone supplicated with this dua except that Allah Ta'ala answered his request. Allah Ta'ala, he answered his request. Now, so this is something that we have to know. وصححه al-Albani, and Imam al-Albani, he graded as being Sahih, and Sahih al-Jami' Sahih al-Jami' al-Saghir. The fourth side, النوع الرابع التوسل إلى الله سبحانه وتعالى بإظهار الضعف إظهار الضعف والحاجة وافتقار إلى الله is to draw near unto Allah Azza wa Jal by acknowledging and mentioning one's weakness, that we're weak, our tremendous need for Allah Azza wa Jal, that we need Allah and that we are impoverished unto Allah. Na'am. كما قال أيوب عليه الصلاة والسلام, just like Ayub. If we know Ayub, Job, tremendous prophet. Na'am, alayhi salatu wassalam. Job, we know Job, he was touched with, he was tested with sickness. Any one of us who's sick, we realize we don't have any sicknesses that compare to the sickness of Job. Ayub alayhi salatu wassalam. Na'am, we don't have no sickness compared to that. Ala kulli hal, Ayub alayhi salatu wasalam, when he was sick, look what he made dua unto Allah Ta'ala with. Look what he made dua unto Allah Ta'ala with. He said, أني مسني الضر وأنت أرحم الراحمين. He said, verily, I have been touched with a calamity. When he made dua unto Allah Azza wa Jalla, I have been touched with a calamity, and you are the most merciful of those who show mercy. Now, you are the most merciful of those who show mercy. You'll see that each one of these examples, they have maybe various types inside of it. Now, because in this type 2, then we see what? Calling upon Allah Azza wa Jalla by His names and attributes. Calling upon Allah by His names and attributes. And this is something that we need to, this is another reason, going back to that first one, why we need to learn the names and the attributes of Allah Azza wa Jalla, so that we can call upon Allah by using the appropriate name and attributes. Because if you're in a situation like Ayub was in, alayhi salatu wasalam, he's in need of mercy. So he called upon Allah by using the attribute of mercy by saying, وَأَنْتَ أَرْحَمُ الرَّاحِمِينَ, that you are the most merciful of those who show mercy. Now, and this is an example of calling on Allah Ta'ala by His attributes. So if an individual has made a sin and he's calling upon Allah Ta'ala, then he can say, وَأَنْتَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ, and you are the all-forgiving, the most merciful. Right? The all-forgiving, the most merciful. So on and so forth. Right? That makes sense? Right? That we use the appropriate dua, we use the appropriate name and attribute. Not that, for example, a person he needs, he's asking for mercy, and then he calls upon Allah, he says, وَأَنْتَ الْعَزِيزُ الْعَظِيمُ, and you are the most mighty, the most powerful. You know, it's not appropriate to what you're asking for. You're asking for mercy, so then call upon Allah Ta'ala, وَأَنْتَ الرَّحْمَنُ الرَّحِيمُ, you are the most merciful, the one who shows mercy, who bestows mercy. Now, that makes sense? Person don't say, Ya Allah, اغفر لي وأنت شديد العقاب, oh Allah, forgive me, and you are the most severe punishment. It's not appropriate. You're asking for forgiveness, then mention that you are the most merciful or forgiving, and so on and so forth. Right? The fifth side, النوع الخامس, التوسل إلى الله بالدعاء الصالحين الأحياء, is to call upon or to seek to draw near to Allah Ta'ala by the dua of righteous people who are alive, meaning by asking them to make dua for you. That's what it means, by asking them to make dua for you. Someone who's righteous, he's alive, then you can say, brother, could you pray? Could you pray to Allah for whatever, whatever person is in need of. Pray to Allah, Allah guide me. Pray to Allah, Allah bless me with a better job. Pray to Allah, Allah bless me to get married, to have children. Whatever. A person needs something. You say, brother, can you make dua to Allah for me? Ask Allah to aid me, and so on and so forth. This is permissible. It's fine. كما كان الصحابة إذا أجدبوا طلبوا من النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أن يدعو الله لهم. Like the companions, when there was a drought, they asked the Messenger of Allah, they asked the Prophet ﷺ to make dua unto Allah for them. There was a drought, they asked the Prophet ﷺ to make dua to Allah for them. ولما توفى صاروا يطلبون من عمه العباس رضي الله تعالى عنه فيدعو لهم. And when the Prophet ﷺ, he passed away, then they asked his uncle, Al-Abbas, they asked his uncle to make dua for them, to make dua for them, which is an indication, as we'll come to in the next class, inshallah ta'ala, that what is not permissible to make dua to those who are dead. It's not permissible, because if it was permissible to make dua to those who are dead, then the Sahaba would have continued to make dua to the Prophet ﷺ, or after he was dead. But you can't make dua if someone is dead. Why? Because when we say make dua, is what you're asking them to make dua for you. Really? You're asking them to make dua for you. But a person's dead, how's he going to make dua for you? He can make dua for himself. The shaykh, no matter how righteous he is, he died. He can't make dua for you. He can't even make dua for himself. He's dead. You understand? But so therefore, we can only ask those who are alive to make dua for us. We can only ask those who are alive to make dua for us. But once the individual dies, then we can no longer ask them to make dua for us because they're dead. Right? That makes sense? But and now as-sadis, the sixth type and the final type, at-tawassul ila Allah bi'i'tiraf al-dhanb, is to make dua unto Allah by acknowledging one's sin. Right? And remember we said that some of these examples, they contain various categories. Like if we go back to the example of Yunus alayhi salam, and we find in it an acknowledgement of one's sin. Acknowledgement of one's sin, because he said, "Kuntu min al-zalimin," I was from the wrongdoers. Right? So he made an acknowledgement of his error. He made an acknowledgement of his error. This is a way to draw near unto Allah Azza wa Jal. And the example the Shaykh he brings is that ayah that can be found in Surah Al-Qasas, and it's verse 16. قَالَ رَبِّي إِنِّي ظَلَمْتُ نَفْسِي. He said, oh my Lord, verily I have wronged myself. Verily I have wronged myself. فَاغْفِرْ لِي. So forgive me. I have wronged myself, so forgive me. A person, he acknowledges his sin. Now, so likewise, we should utilize the likes of this when asking Allah Ta'ala to forgive us and the like, to acknowledge our wrong, to acknowledge our sin. Oh Allah, I have oppressed myself. Oh Allah, I have wronged myself. Forgive me. Forgive me. And so on and so forth. And then the Shaykh Allah Ta'ala, he goes on into the next category, and that is at-tawassul ghayr al-mashru', and that is the seeking or trying to draw near unto Allah Ta'ala by unlegislative means, and all of those means are haram and not permissible. But we will get into this inshallah ta'ala in the next class. فنتوقف هنا ونكتفي بهذا القدر. وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. جزاكم الله خيرا.